Hi everybody, it's Agnes. I've got a wonderful, wonderful success story about getting an ex back from M. So M, my apologies to you for saying, I just read back through the thread and saying that I'd upload this in June and it's now 2 months later. So my apologies, I went off on a tangent somewhere. So this is what M says. Dear Agnes, I'm so pleased to be sharing my story with you and everyone else who is on the verge of their manifestations. I look forward to any comments you have after. All right, I will give you a brief backstory since there are several places involved. My boyfriend and I have been together for over a year now. Last August, he had left and I discovered law of attraction and manifested him back the following month. He's from London and I live in Munich. He moved in with me, however, it was for 3 months only since I had manifested a 3-month work contract with a company here for him, and he was unsure what he wanted after the 3 months were up. Things were a bit up and down, especially in the beginning, and I was paranoid and so manifested another woman. Thankfully, nothing happened and we sort of got used to living with each other. I had stopped doing meditations or listening to subliminals and just was completely off balance and felt quite negative very often. By the time the 3 months were up, I felt quite awful and he insisted that he was done with our relationship and that was that. He packed up and he moved back to the UK. Now, I had decided that I was going to manifest him back again and began watching your YouTube videos and others too. However, I was not feeling good and I had made sure I could access his WhatsApp and Facebook messages, so I was constantly obsessed with checking them. A couple of weeks went by and I made sure that I didn't contact him. However, his birthday was approaching around Christmas time and I decided to buy him a beautiful gift and make a few Christmas and birthday cards for him. I posted them to him and I got the confirmation that the parcel was received and I hadn't received a thanks or an acknowledgement from him. I felt very upset and negative. I rang him up and that was the first time we'd spoken since he'd left, and I remembered feeling very negative emotions before he answered the call. He, of course, then was cold and curt and just gave me the impression that he had better things to do than speak to me. I was very upset and I sent him a strongly worded message to which he didn't respond. After reading his text, there was a confirmation that said he would be returning to work at the same company in Munich. A week later, I had a vacation with some friends to the French Riviera, where we spent the New Year's there. At the beginning of our trip, something rather untoward happened and I rang him because I was upset. He was quite kind on the phone and he gave me strength to get through the untoward incident. I decided to use this situation to open the lines of communication again. I sent him photographs and sweet texts. He responded at first and then slowly stopped. So I stopped too. I returned to Munich and I was spending more time doing art and listening to you and Abraham Hicks and reading her books too. During this time, I had met a couple of guys using Tinder, but the more time I spent with them, the more I wanted to be with my specific person. A few days later, I was reading, got a bit tongue-tied, his text. I had become addicted by this point. I discovered that he was in Munich for a couple of days for work. I was shocked and hurt that he had not mentioned this to me, and it was at this moment that I decided I wouldn't let my negative emotions run away with me. I did a few deep breaths and decided it was time to let go. I decided it was the only act by not caring about his text and not caring about where he was, and if he would come to see me, that I could actually get into alignment. I stopped reading his messages and told myself that he would come to me in good time, when I'm ready to receive him, and until then I would enjoy my single life. And I meditated and read and tried to feel good. Believe it or not, the next day I received a text from him. Nothing important, just a hello. He sent a few more texts that following day and asked if he could ring me. At this particular time, I was feeling nervous apprehension, not joy or expectation. Naturally, when I answered the call, he was quite curt and the call was regarding work. He also repeated several times that our relationship was over and this is a new chapter for both of us. I was rather surprised by this and ended the call. I meditated and got into a feeling of gratitude I realized it was my feeling negative that was pushing out onto him and saying the things that he said. After 5 minutes of feeling actual gratitude and feeling good, I rang him up and told him that I appreciated his support and I was grateful for it. And in big letters, M says here, Agnes, his tone softened immediately. As you can imagine, a happy and wonderful conversation ensued. He joked, asked me if I had had sex with other men, and I told him no and recounted my experiences with the men I had met. The next day, he sent me a sweet text. This was getting good. Didn't obsess with my phone waiting for him to text. I just knew that he would text when he was ready, and I didn't have to think or bother or worry or obsess about it and just get on with life. That day, however, which turned out to be the last Friday, a friend of mine from France asked if he could spend the weekend with me, and if so, he would drive over to Munich. I thought this would be quite fun, so I agreed, and he came over that night. We drank quite a bit, and I realized how I was attracted to him, and then we had sex. I felt incredibly guilty and sick with myself after. We enjoyed Saturday wandering the streets of Munich, and then I received a text from my person saying he was feeling extremely anxious about me all day. This sent alarm bells ringing. My French friend left on Sunday morning, after which my person texted me saying he acutely felt that I was in the arms of another man. I confirmed it, but was shocked at how strongly he felt these emotions. We discussed what happened and how I felt about it after. He was sad and hurt, but acknowledged that he had made it clear that we were not as a couple, and so I had my right to do as I pleased. Last night, he rang me up and we had a very long video chat. He was playing all our songs in the background and he just wanted to look at me. I saw incredible sadness in his face, but he was happy that he was speaking to me. We ended the conversation by him asking me to meet him in France, where he breaks his journey from the UK back to Germany next week. Today, we made our plans regarding hotel and some relaxation in Baden-Baden before driving back to Munich together. And now I know this is the time we're going to be together permanently. I have now understood the law of attraction. Worrying, obsessing, and thinking about the manifestation is not going to help. All you need to do is simply trust that it is coming to you in the right time, and tell yourself that you don't want it to come before you're ready to receive it. Ask and then let go. This was the most difficult part for me. But if you keep thinking that it will come when the time is right, if it helps you, let go of the worry and obsession. As you so often say, Agnes, love yourself. Do nice things for yourself. Do things that make you feel good in the moment. Watch something funny to help you take your mind off things. And something very important that I learned during this process, don't talk about unfulfilled manifestations in big capitals. When I listened in on your Zoom call, free Q&A, everybody was so negative and was just pouring out their grievances. I felt so drained after listening to that one call. I have no idea how you do it all the time. Anyway, just talking about how he isn't coming back, or she isn't responding to my texts, or she just ignores me, are very powerful negative statements. And although I understand that people want to share their story and ask for your advice, I did that too. Just repeating these statements is evoking negative emotions and more resistance, and therefore pushing the manifestations away. Bottom line, feel good, trust that everything is working out, and it will. Lovely. So thank you, M, for your story. And I'm going to put down below the playlist for all the how to get an ex back success stories. And I am also going to put down below a couple of YouTubes from Gary Zukov. Now, Gary Zukov has been on Oprah many times. He's also written some books. And I'm going to put a couple of YouTubes you might find interesting where he talks about relationships and the dynamics and what goes on. So have a listen to that, see what you think. And that's about it for this one.